So you've been invited for an interview and you don't know how to prepare. You want to nail that interview, but you don't know what to do in order to prepare. The first thing I'm gonna do for you is I'm gonna invite you for a free workshop on Saturday, July 14th, 2018, here in Nairobi, where we're going to be talking about the interview process. But in order to prepare you for that, today I'm going to give you 8 tips to prepare before you go into that interview situation. So hi, this is Stanley from Genesis Arc Capital in partnership with Edge Performance, a lovely company that works to build staff and team members and organizations. And we've partnered with Edge to bring you this video, but also the coming workshops just to help you to prepare for that interview stage. So let's start from the beginning. This video will give you 8 tips to help you to prepare before you go into the interview itself. And the first tip is this: do your research. Research that company in and out. Now I know this is a cliche and it's been said so many times, but it's because it's so true and so critical. You need to understand which company this is, how they work, what's their culture, and the main aim, which brings me into point 2, is how do you fit in? The reason you do step 1, which is the research, is to understand how you fit in and how your skills are going to help contribute to this organization. So when you find out about their sales strategy, how will you contribute to it? Okay, in case you're asked a question about strategy. If it's about vision, how will you contribute? If it is about, finances, if it is about marketing, if it is about training, how do you fit into the organization? So that's tip number 2, understand how you fit in. The next tip number 3 is this: review the application. Now, before you got called in for the interview, you must have submitted maybe a CV, you must have sent an email, you may even have had several communications with someone in the organization. I want you to review the whole application. What did you say? Who did you talk to? And so on. And the reason that we review this application is this: because the assumption, and I hope this is a very important tip, the assumption is that every application you send to all the companies is different. Okay? Remember, we don't send bulk emails and we don't send bulk CVs. Every CV and every cover letter should actually be different because all the companies are different. So the reason we do step 3, reviewing your application, is to just kind of remind yourself what this organization is about and what you said during that application stage. Which documents did you indicate in your CV? What experience did you talk about? So that again, if it comes up in the interview, you are aware and you're not caught by surprise. Tip number 4 is, please get information from the organization on what type of interview you will be conducted. So what most people don't realize is that there are different types of interview scenarios, there are different interview settings, and each one requires a different form of preparation. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to find out what type of interview do these people do. It could be like, is it going to be a one-on-one setting when you're talking to one person? Is it going to be a panel? Are you going to have 3 stages where on one stage you're talking to one person, another stage you're talking to a panel? There was even another organization where they invited you for lunch and you hung out with the team that you would work with, just so that the team could understand you. Another organization does what is called competency-based interviews. Another organization does what is called case study interviews. You must know which type of interview you're going into so that you prepare for it. For example, a case study interview is where you're given a case and you work through it with your interviewer, and you kind of try and they present you with a problem that you would encounter in the workplace, and you work towards solving it. So you see, if you understand that that's the interview you're going for, you will be much better prepared for that interview. And that leads us very properly into tip number 5. Find out who in the organization you will be talking to. Okay, so what happens in different organization or different interview settings is that you may be talking to different people. In some interviews you'll be talking to the person who would be your direct manager. In other interviews you'll be talking to like the CEO of the organization. Now the reason it is important is because the things you will discuss with different people in the organization will actually they'll be different. For example, if I'm talking to the person who would be my direct manager, maybe the thing I'd be talking about is what's their management style, what kind of team are they wanting to build, and so on and so forth. If I were to be interviewing with the CEO, it might be that the discussion we're having is what's the vision of the organization, where are we going, what's the strategy for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and how do I fit in? You see? So it's important to question. Now, some organization may be closed and they may not want to give you this information, so don't push too hard, but it is important to ask. And you can just do it in a polite email or a call and say, hey, dear so-and-so, I would be interested to know who or what type of people will I be talking to during the interview process. So this is something again that you do before you go into the interview to help you again just better prepare. Tip number 6 is now when you're coming close to the day of doing the interview. I would highly encourage you, as tip number 6, to do what is called reconnaissance. What is a reconnaissance visit? A reconnaissance visit is where the day before, a few days before the day of the interview, you go to their offices and find out where the building is, stage iko wapi, parking iko wapi, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to be flustered, or you don't want to be surprised, or you don't even worse get lost on the day of the interview. You want to go and familiarize yourself with the place. We've had instances where people went to the wrong building. They were next door and they were waiting in another reception, and kumbe that was the wrong building, and you don't want that to happen to you. So my personal tip here is make sure you just do a reconnaissance visit. Take some time and go and familiarize yourself. You don't even have to enter the office. Just go and familiarize yourself, talk to the watchman and ask them, oh, is this building? I'll be here for an interview, or I'm here for a meeting. Just familiarize yourself with that building so that you don't get lost on the day. On the day of the interview, you don't want to be confused, and you want to keep yourself as sharp and as focused as possible. And a reconnaissance visit can really do wonders because it helps you to kind of settle in your mind. Tip number 7 is on the day of the interview, and this one is the simplest of all. Arrive on time. Don't be late. That's obvious. Do not be late for your interview. And because you've already done tip number 6 and you did your reconnaissance, you know where the building is and where the office is, it makes it easier to do tip number 7, which is arrive on time. So plan yourself. I would say do not arrive too early also. I would say that about 15 minutes before your scheduled interview is great. If you a couple of months ago, I had someone arrive for an interview about 1 hour before the scheduled time, and I was left, just scratching my head, wondering, when this person didn't have anything to do, like why, they just came and weirdly sat in the office for a whole hour. So it was a bit disconcerting for me as an interviewer. So just 15 minutes is good enough. Arrive in the building. If you want to go into the washroom and freshen up, that's actually a really good idea. Go and make sure your shoes are nice and polished. People always, especially for gentlemen, people always look at your shoes. Ebu angalia hapo chini. What state are your shoes in right now? Are they interview ready? Come on July 14th and find out what it means to be interview ready. Okay? Come for that. It's a free workshop. Okay? So now, as I was saying, so don't arrive too early. About 15 minutes, freshen up, ask for some water, and it also allows you to just sit down and compose yourself. Nothing as bad as just coming into the door and just entering straight into the interview room. Your mind still hasn't had time to settle and think properly and focus properly. And the final tip, number 8, be kind. Be kind to people. When you get to an office building, be kind to the watchman. When you get to the reception area, be very kind and polite to that receptionist. You would be surprised that those people will be asked to give their opinions about you. You would be surprised who is watching as you go for the interview. As I said, the pre-interview stage is a big part of the entire interview process, and you want to give a good impression to everyone that you meet in that area. So make sure that you're kind, make sure that you're polite to everyone that you meet as you go for that interview. And I wish you the best in that interview stage. And more importantly, and if you want to get more information, again, Edge Performance and us at Genesis Arc Capital are offering a free 2-hour workshop and information session on how to win at interviews. So make sure you click the link below, okay, in the description, in order to register so that we see you on Saturday the 14th. I will see you next time.